So welcome everybody as we dive into episode 15 of Rise of the Sovereign. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to pick up a very interesting part of the story. We're going to do quick introductions for all the players. After that, we'll do a super quick recap of where we are to kind of remember what's going on in the story, and then we're going to dive right in. So to get started, first above me we have...
Hi everyone, I'm Ellie. I am a variety streamer on Twitch. I am currently playing Baldur's Gate and Addicted, also very addicted to Valheim. I am playing Anne Hothamore for you this evening. I am an Arcane Trickster Rogue, and I'm very excited for level 7.
Yes, they just hit level 7, so all new fun shenanigans to hit. And then below me in the top knot we have...
That's right. I am Laszlo. I thought of something really interesting to say before stream tonight, and I forgot it. So I play Lorex. He's a dwarf. He's a warlock. He dabbles in the Genie arts, and I'll be here.
Nice. And then below him in the Atlanta Braves hat, we have...
Hey, I'm Danny. I play Goliath, a Goliath rune knight named Vimak. Sometimes I play a Topaz Dragon Wormling.
Sometimes, only once, but we'll see.
And sometimes I throw in a little Martha Stewart. So.
Just to throw things off. All right. And at the very bottom...
Go back to that.
And at the very bottom, we have our resident genius.
Hello, I'm Wes, amateur beard enthusiast, and I play Cordan Acosta, amateur Star Wars cosplayer, I would guess. Circle of Stars Druid, and we're strangers in a strange land.
That's right. Yes, Cordan Acosta, our Circle of Stars Druid, is
don't let him fool you. That beard's got pro written all over it.
It is a pro beard. I am jealous because I can't grow a beard. It's not possible.
That's okay. I can't grow hair.
Yeah, okay. All right. So I'll keep this and you get that going. Perfect. All right. So, and also as a reminder, we do have a live stream as well that we play on Monday nights at 8:30 on our YouTube channel. We also have our podcast that you can download, as well. We're on Spotify, Apple, all the fun things. And, you can find us there, under Rise of the Sovereign. So those are all things you can do to kind of catch up with us. You also join our Discord, and you can also, chat with the players during the week to kind of see, hey, what are you thinking about taking for your next level? All that kind of fun stuff. Those are all fun things to do. All right, so the other thing we do want to talk about for tonight is let's recap our last game. So in episode 14, we saw our players go into they had infiltrated the hideout or a base of the evil collective, this guild they had been fighting of mind flayers, the illithid and the intellect devourers. They got in, they fought these things, and it was through this battle that they were having, going through and killing these things in this strange structure they found under the city of Waterdeep, that they fought this giant alien monster, this long snouted dragon wings, breathing fire, wreathed in flame, is fighting this awful thing, which may or may not look a lot like Ridley from Metroid. It was an homage to that. But as they were fighting that, like the entire building started to shift back and forth, and in the fight, they discovered that they weren't in the abandoned sewer system that they thought they were in under Waterdeep. What they found out was they had somehow been transported onto some type of ship that was traversing the astral sea. And as they fought this monster and these robed squid things that they were fighting as well, they never quite figured out what those things were. They weren't mind flayers. They had like tentacles for arms. But as they fought all these things, the control of the ship seemed to break off. And it was kind of plummeting through the astral sea. They saw this vision through the open windows of it was like shale of the ship that they could actually see through. And what they saw was this massive image. I'll actually show that.
Were we part of that?
It felt like you had broken off of this. So this is the image of like this thing that was like flying through the astral sea. It was breaking apart, these massive tentacles coming out. And it did feel like this ship, this vessel, whatever you were on, was a part of this and you were breaking away from it. But this was the image that you saw as you were falling back into the horizon. And I'll kind of also just kind of go back and show that you were falling into this scene. This scene, was what you saw originally, and you're falling into this planetary celestial body below you, and seeing all of this, you quickly tried to figure out, is there a way that we can control this? How do we slow our descent? And the only thing that we could possibly figure out in the quick chaos of the moment was for everyone to jump into the 2 bags of holding that we had to try to limit the impact of what was about to happen. Well, the ship did crash on this foreign planet or roll or whatever it is, this world, and where we ended up was here. We ended up in a foreign land. We ended up seeing this frozen tundra, this landscape. There was these 2 pillars in the distance that had strange writing. You went out to read the strange writing, and it was a variation of Common, a language that is what you speak at home in Faerun. And you found out that this was a marker, a guidepost for something called the Barrier Peaks. And that is where we left off. So where we're picking up this week is a week after the crash, okay? And we're going to do a quick montage of what's happened in the last week, and we'll kind of tell the scene of where we are as we figure out what to do in this strange world. So now we're going to go and skip over to here. So what I have created here, this is the vessel that we were on, the little cloudy areas. This is where the snow has broken through the vessel. So those are now open to the outside. Over the last week, the big thing has been, food and warmth. Water's easy to get because we have snow, but it's been food and warmth. Well, between the summoning of animals and things that Cordan can do, he can summon a food source. As far as heat goes, in the beginning, in the first day or two, the entire area they were in was being heated by whatever this monster was that y'all had slain. It seemed like the inner core of the monster itself had stayed warm, and it kind of provided heat for everyone there. But that began to dissipate. So then it became a matter of finding firewood, and while the ship is stone, not a lot of firewood was able to be found. Cordan could create a bonfire as long as he concentrated on it, but it was a question of how do we continue to do this. So over the last week, Lorex had been venturing out into the frozen tundra to bring back firewood and things of that nature. Because his patron is the water genie, he's resistant to the cold. He's not immune to it. It just doesn't bother him as much as the others. So he was best suited to go out, find firewood, and to bring it back. And while he did that, Cordan also worked to help kind of solidify the area. And using mold earth, he created some barriers that he could move open and close, both here and here at the bottoms. That actually seals off where you're at, and you can kind of go and open it for people to go out and find things and to bring it back. But that's what you've been doing. You've been kind of like, okay, we don't see any settlements close to us. We don't seem to be near any type of civilization. So what you've been doing right now is just trying to get a lay of the situation that you're at, surviving, and all of this week, Anne has been taking care of Vimak and kind of nursing him back. And every day his intelligence seems to slowly be coming back. He got blasted by one of these strange brain beings that left his intelligence at 0. And it takes a full week for that to begin to come back. So over the last week, he's been slowly regaining a little bit of his intelligence here and there, and finally, he's back to his old self. Now, Anne has been taking care of Vimak, but she's also been taking care of the Topaz wormling that we have with us. So she's kind of spent the week, bonding with Soot and having the Topaz wormling. And one of the things that you're noticing, the little wormling is learning extremely fast. Its language went from a few words to now broken sentences, and now it seems to really have a grasp of language. It also keeps asking for books. It is a voracious reader and wants to read everything that it can find. So it's been kind of interesting seeing. It doesn't like the snow. It'll go wet. It doesn't want to be near the snow. And one of the things that you've noticed is that sometimes it'll get close, and it seems like for hydration, it actually pulls water in from the air, so it doesn't actually get wet, but it still needs water. So it actually is pulling water in. And it's just constantly looking for two things. It's looking for food, which it calls fish for food for everything, and it wants to learn. It's very inquisitive. So part of it has been keeping the wormling out of trouble, as it just kind of roams and seems to get into trouble, and also kind of nursing Vimak back to health. Now we've also got the two of the Wildheart clan with us as well. We have Mari, the halfling that's part of the Wildheart clan, and we also have Thornton with the savage mustache. They have been they will help some of the ranging with Lorex as well. They can't seem to go as far. Now, when they turn into their bear forms, they're a little bit resistant, but they can't go nearly as far. So sometimes Lorex is lugging things back to a certain distance, and they'll take it and bring it back. The problem is it's pretty desolate. So you're having to go further and further out. You're getting to a point where you're going to have to figure something out. Now, throughout the last week, Cordan has also figured something else out. He found a false wall. And there is a passage right in here. You'll see, I've got highlighted here. He found a passage. And he found this secret room, and it looks like some type of star map room. There's an edging around the floor, and on the floor itself, you can actually see constellations that are foreign to you. And you've spent time kind of mapping and drawing these out, because this is a different star system than that you're used to. So all of that has been what is happening over the last week. Also, the chest that you had opened in these south rooms here that had some of the fun new magical items that you found, you've pulled the chest into here. They're ornate, but they are wooden. So the thought is, hey, we could burn these if we needed to. So you've kind of pulled those in as an option as well. So, and to kind of, after the episode last week, we did go over, there are some new magic items that the group has. There is the Robe of Stars that Cordan has picked up. There was a Sunblade, which is pretty much a lightsaber that our friend Ellie now has. There was also the Cape of the Montebank, I believe, which allows you to Dimension Door. Now, who ended up with that piece?
I think Laz, you wanted that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the final thing that we had, we had there was a psi crystal that allows you to have telepathy. Who ended up having that?
Oh.
This does need to be attuned. So who wants
to... Be interesting if Vimak, do you want that? I don't think anyone wants it, is the thing.
I think it could be useful.
I mean, I'll take it if nobody else wants it, but I'm not going to stand in the way of anybody if they want it.
Well, it's either that or the next thing, which is...
I do like the idea of it having sat by Vimak, or at least close to him, and then the light inside of it growing as his intelligence comes back.
It was kind of a test to see if he was back. Hey, he's back. He's back.
Oh.
Okay, so we have that, and we also have the Wand of Magic Missiles. Who wanted the wand?
I don't want either wand. I don't know who's got the other one, but I don't want either one of them.
It'll give Vimak an option to hit something from afar.
Yeah.
Can he use it?
He could.
Cool.
We're about to find out.
All right, so for now, we'll say that Vimak, you have the Psi Crystal and the Wand of Magic Missile. If you want to move it around later, we can. The wand does not require attunement, but the Psi Crystal does. So as soon as you attune to that, you do have telepathy.
Wes, you don't want the wand?
I do not want either wand.
Okay. All right. So
I have two attuned items right now, so I only have a slot for one.
Gotcha. All
I'm in
righty.
the same position.
All right. So this is where we are. I've set the scene. So we're a week out. Vimak, you are back. You have regained your intelligence after being spoon-fed for a week by Anne, which is very nice of her to do. And we are back. So let's start this week with Anne. What is Anne doing?
Anne would have loved to find some time to talk to Lorex during the week. I think.
Well, let's do that now. So we'll set the scene. Lorex has just come back from one of his expeditions bringing firewood. He has the sad report to say that it's getting very, very thin because you're in this frozen tundra. And when he brings the wood back, it's got to thaw. You've got to use it takes time. So he comes back with that. So he and the two Wildheart come back lugging logs. Because the issue is like Cordan can keep the bonfire up during the day, but he has to sleep. So those 8 hours, you need something to burn. Yes.
But I recommend that the dragon dry out the wood.
Which he is very willing to do. So he uses, the little wormling has the ability to, his breath weapon is dehydration. So he can actually like pull the water and all of the snow off of it. It's actually a very good idea. So very good. All right. So he does that. The little wormling goes over immediately, just sort of drying the wood. He's kind of learned this is his job, I guess. And he goes over and he kind of looks and he goes, wet, and he blows and just kind of dries everything out. And from that, we'll set a scene where we have a campfire and let's have a conversation between Anne and Lorex.
I think drying out wood and everything around it is, I'm not going to lie, it makes me a little uncomfortable.
But that's because you're based on water, right? Your powers are magic.
Yes, for the most part. I mean, well, yes. I mean, I feel very at home in the water now. I mean, I always did, even before I was in this situation.
Before the lantern?
Yes.
How did that happen? I don't think you've ever told me how that happened.
Oh, it's I suppose a long story, but the short version is that I was a fisherman way back when, and for whatever, I was just out in the water and waiting out there and up to my thighs, and caught on the end of my fishing line was this lantern, and inside was some being who promised to give me power. And what I got in exchange was tied to the lantern for the rest of my life.
Do you like being tied to the lantern?
Can't say I do.
How do you feel about the fact that you have to report to somebody now? Like, did you report to this patron? Or like, I hold the lantern, but I don't really know what that means. And I'd rather
be
not
honest
be
with
the
you, I
boss
don't-
of you.
Well, I appreciate that. I can't say that Miles ever put it that way. I don't really see it as you being the boss of me.
Good.
On the one hand, I don't really have much of a choice, but on the other hand, it's it's not so bad. Like if I was, I don't like this cosmic connection with the lantern, but at the same time, it's where else am I going to go? Just frozen tundra out there.
Well, right now, but can you ever be the holder of your own lantern?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think my power is tied to my servitude, so to speak. How do you feel about all this? This is Miles put this lantern in your hands. You didn't exactly choose this position either.
No, I didn't. That's why I didn't tell you at first. I didn't think I wanted to tell you. I wanted to hand it right back to Miles. I don't want to be. I don't want to be in control or have any pull over what you do. I want to help and work with you, just like how I feel about Cordan and Vimak and this insane crew of everybody that we're seeming to collect. But
I appreciate that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I could give this lantern back to you and let you have your own, I would.
Well, I'm stunned, but I would say for now, don't think of it as being the boss of me. Think of it, the lantern protects you, and we'll leave it at that for now.
Well, let's try and find some fun ways to
This
use
is a
it,
situation where...
Sorry.
Fair enough. It's not... Don't have too much fun with it. I know Cordan's ideas of having fun with me is not really what I would consider fun.
So, but wait, can I tell you to do a jig and you have to?
I wouldn't recommend it.
But
I do have a very large sword.
so do I.
Well played. Nice. All right, so we'll end scene on that conversation. What is Cordan doing? What we're gonna do Vimak last. What is Cordan doing during this time?
Well, other than researching the star chart and trying to figure out how it ties into, try to figure out if there's some way of tying it to what I know. Just say like this is the other side. Any familiarity where I can say this is where the knowledge I had ended and this began, to extend it, or is it completely foreign and there's no similarities between the two?
So you feel looking at that and also remembering what the astral sea looked like before you crashed on this realm. Looking at that, there are some similarities of this star chart versus what you remember. And one of the things that stood out to you is whenever you were seeing that, you saw brighter lights in the distance that you felt were other realms, possibly. This star chart is showing some of those realms as well. It's showing there's a brighter one and then there's a dimmer one that you're seeing in the star chart. The brighter one has you interested because you can't tell because the angle is off, but it looks like there is a formation of a part of a constellation that you recall. It's actually the chalice that you create in yourself with one of your reforms. You believe that there's 3 stars that are pointed behind that. Could be something else, but it looks like that the brightest star that the realm that you're seeing on the star chart may actually be your realm.
Well, one thing I want to do with the new Robe of Stars is I want to shift into the astral plane.
Okay.
And I'm looking over it real quick just to see. It doesn't really have a time on it.
So I will help you narratively with this. So with the Robe of Stars, you're able to retreat into the robe, into the astral sea itself. It gives you kind of a vantage point to see the stars uninhibited by the things that are around you. And what you see is you kind of return to a little bit different view of what you saw before you crashed, but you're looking at the astral sea from the vantage point of this realm. And what you see, now it's taken you a week of wearing this, getting used to it, attuned to it. This is the first time you've actually, you've kind of dipped, that you've actually put yourself fully into the astral sea, and you're able to kind of see everything that you're looking at. One of the things that you notice immediately as you're looking around, you see these bright lights, these distant realms that are flickering, and you see the one that you also saw in the star chart, and you do believe that what you're looking at, you can see part of the constellation of the Chalice, which would be one of the constellations closer to your home realm. So you've kind of pointed that, but as you're looking at that, there seems to be this shadow that kind of comes over, and you look and you see that terrifying vision again of whatever that thing is. Remember the comet that you had seen from your realm? Well, you're now realizing it's not a comet. The Yoskian comet that brought about all of this that you've been researching is not really what you thought it was. It seems to be this giant alien vessel or whatever it is. And as it's over the horizon of the realm that you're in, you're seeing it is basically letting out this cloud that is entering into the atmosphere. And as you're looking and seeing, you see that what's coming into that atmosphere is like some type of spore or like small shards of meteorite that's kind of dusting the entire realm that you are currently in.
So they're infecting this area too. Well, one of the things that I think I learned from the robe is that when you astral shift, you're actually in the same place, but in the astral plane. So I would have to like fly up basically to kind of.
That's what I'm saying.
Vantage point. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you're uninhibited by around you. So you're not. You don't
There's
have
no up down. You just
Right. You're uninhibited. Yeah.
So after seeing this, when you're in the astral plane, do you see anything on the realm that you're in? Like, can you see like other versions of where you're at currently? Like, can I use it as a viewpoint to kind of see if there's anything else on this place where we could try to head towards?
It's hard to say that. The way that I kind of envision this is that it kind of removes all the things around you, and you have this perfect dark space to see the astral plane, the astral sea. Okay. You do see, like, I will say that from where you're seeing in this moment, that if you were to traverse down the peaks, there is a valley below you that probably has life on it. However, it's also being covered in this dust that you're seeing. Where you are, they're not blanketing. You're so high up, it's like falling beneath you. So it's hitting under the mountainscape of what you see.
And it's happening now. It's not
correct.
Like something I'm seeing.
This is something that is currently happening. It's like as this comet, we'll say, is passing over, it's actually leaving behind whatever this is. A dusting is the best way to describe it. And it also makes you think that is this what happened 5,000 years ago?
Right. And why was this Yoskian comet believed to be a good thing if this is the same thing it was the last time?
That's a great question.
I think we need to figure out a way to get down into the valley. I think I have a way for a few people to get down there, maybe one at a time.
Okay.
Or groups at a time. But I will get back to that if you want to go with Danny.
All right, so you are, for this moment, you're spending time in the astral sea learning, because this is also the first time that you have seen galaxies and been able to study it. So you're just there, soaking in, taking notes, learning, absorbing the knowledge of the astral sea. It's something, to you, it's something you've longed for your entire life. If you've been studying the stars, to now actually to be almost feel as if you are in the astral sea itself. It's just a moment you like being there, because it's like something you've chased after your whole life, and now you are actually getting to see it. So while you're in that moment, let's go back to Vimak. So Vimak, this is at night. There's a camp scene. You notice that Anne and Lorex have had their conversations. They're starting to, everyone's kind of getting ready to stir and, like, get ready for bed. what are you doing at this moment? You have finally regained your intelligence. You feel like yourself again. You're recalling. During your time, you've also spent time like recalling some lessons from the Valanavi clan about runes, and you're really expanding your use and really leaning more into that runic magic. But as you sit there by the campfire, slowly petting the little wormling next to you, which still doesn't even have a name, you've been really contemplating that. What is it that you want to do?
Well, I'll tell everyone it does have a name. And I meant to tell them that day. But I went flowers for Algernon for like a week and a half. So his name is Solstice.
Solstice.
I like that.
And when you say that, the little wormling looks up and kind of tilts his head off to the side and kind of looks over and kind of in agreement goes, Solstice, Solstice. And it repeats it. And as its vocabulary is beginning to really pick up, extraordinarily fast. But yes, Solstice. Yes, Solstice.
I'll also just throw it out there to everyone that I do have a sending stone back to my clan. And we do know that my clan is on the march to Miles. I don't know who has the stone or if it's with them or if it's back.
Does it work at this range?
It works through planes.
Holy smokes.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
And
you might want to let our people know when they get there that we're not on this plane anymore.
Basically, it lets you do one message of 25 words. Let's see. Across any distance and even to other planes of existence.
Holy smokes.
amazing.
There's a 5% chance that the message won't arrive. So I guess we have to roll. 25 words. Maybe we should
I guess DM rolls that one secretly.
Right?
25 words.
He's looking for his dice.
I am
I
actually.
think
Yeah.
because they have one as well.
You,
They
can you not
answer
roll?
back.
You can. Oh, sorry.
I can. I can. It's all good. I'll go to Discord.
I think you can roll secretly to yourself.
It's okay. It's all good.
We can ask them to maybe.
Well, yes. What are you waiting for? Tell them that we're in trouble. Have them send. I don't know. Miles can figure something out.
Okay.
Do we know anybody that can plane shift? Would I know what plane shifting is? I would imagine so.
These are all really good questions.
As the DM's rolling his dice.
You're just going to have to give me a second here.
That's all right. We'll keep thinking of good questions to ask when.
Vamping.
All right. I have made my quasi-secretive roll. All right. So what is it you're trying to do?
All right. Let them know. Should have written this down, but I thought about it. But
I'm writing something down.
Now
you're up to 12 words.
You have used this before, and it goes to Ara Barun, your chieftain.
yes.
Rune.
I think Wes was working on the message.
All right, so what's the message going to be to Ara Barun?
You got Cordan.
Here we got. Let me count it real quick. 2, 3, 4.
Help! We gone. Send help.
So
Help.
tell Miles, team on another plane. Collective are not of this world. Trying to find way back. Get Miles to help us.
I love you since I was only 22.
All right.
Dear Slim.
You send this message,
I wrote you, but you still ain't calling.
and normally when you've used it, you get an instant response from Ara Barun. You send this message, and you only hear silence.
Well,
Because if communication has been disrupted, it can mean only one thing.
invasion.
Invasion.
And this is where he says roll for initiative.
Independence Day? Is that Independence Day? What was it?
Would be the Phantom Menace.
The Phantom Menace. Right.
Of course.
I rolled a 1.
Oh,
Awesome.
Oh,
When is the next time it can be used?
right?
Tomorrow.
Okay, so same thing every day until
Until it goes through.
Snake. Snake, do you read me?
Come back over.
Snake!
All right.
robocall them until they send a message back.
In the meantime, did anyone figure out what that is? Point at the Githyanki.
Yeah, so there's this pod that you have all left alone the last week. There is a body of this strange green individual inside. Definitely dead, and kind of like, at this point, kind of floating in some type of strange blue goo. And he's just been floating there. It seems to be a male with these like large green ears. And I do have an image for you so you can kind of understand.
I don't know if I want to see it if he's covered in blue goo.
He's covered in blue goo. But this is what he is now. None of you have ever seen one of these. And Cordan, you have read in your studies about some race called the Githyanki, but information that is very vague. Like, you don't really remember too much about them, and from your understanding, they don't exist in your world.
They also look strikingly like a young, handsome Grinch.
Yes.
He's a mean one.
But that is the body that's been floating in this thing. Now, Mari has been making jokes that if it gets down to it, we eat him first.
Of course.
CFG.
I am not eating whatever that is.
Yeah, no, thank you.
As long as I'm here to rescue you from the food poisoning.
All right. So at this point, you're all back around the fire. You've got enough to burn through the night. Is there anything else that you want to do before turning into rest?
I want to bring something up to the group, and I want to see how they feel about this.
Okay.
One thing that we could do, it's a two-edged sword here. I could take Skywrite. We've seen an idea of their alphabet outside. Perhaps we could try to communicate with somebody down in the valley.
Okay.
It's an interesting suggestion.
Hmm.
But how do we know they'll be friendly?
We don't, but
Exactly.
what is our alternative to getting out of here? I don't think we can survive going down the mountain. How do you think it would take?
How
we'll see the
far is
valley
It would be a couple of days to climb down. And the issue is that it's been so cold that not everyone you thought could make it. You're not exactly geared for this type of terrain. Now, Vimak has no
Well, as
problem
an
with it. Lorex has no problem with it. The rest of you would have a problem with it.
we could split the party?
I don't think I could. I could get down there. I think just by shifting to the astral plane, walking down there, and then shifting out of it. But I'm kind of the one that's supplying the food and the
Yeah.
fire going. I kind of think I have to stay here until somebody goes.
And with that,
We
why
don't
don't
really
we
know what this mist. We don't really know what this mist does, right? The spores and everything.
It has to infect things and
'Cause it's
start breeding the
Like
brain
seeds.
bugs.
Planting seeds of collective.
Can we do something about it since we got there right when it started, though?
how far away from us is the spores and that mist stuff?
Base of the mountain.
It's the base of the mountain. It's a good 3-day climb at least.
Okay, so it's down in the valley. Gotcha.
Right.
Do we set up a group of y'all to go down without us? Now, don't we have a Unestone that Danny had used in the past?
No. You've got a spell stone.
That's what I meant. Spellstone.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's
What is the max level it can contain?
Ooh, it's low.
I think it was level 2.
2. I believe it's level 2. Right.
So, I could store a conjured beast because it's level 2 for them to be able to supply themselves food going down.
Could do that. So let's sleep on that. Let's sleep on it, and y'all continue to kind of think about what you're going to do. So at this, everyone kind of dozes off as we think about ranging south, maybe splitting the party. All tough decisions that need to be made. And the Wild Hearts, they take first and second watch while the rest of people get some sleep. And one of the things you've noticed too is that the Wormling sleeps odd hours and is generally up at night. So generally between the three of them, they kind of keep watch. It's kind of the way it's been. So everyone gets some sleep and begins to doze off after you've been here a little over a week or so. And it's at this point that Anne, you have a very hard time sleeping. You have had a hard time since you've been here because the cold, no matter how close you get to the fire, you're just cold, constantly cold. It really bothers you. But tonight is particularly bad, and there is a chill in the air that is worse than normal. And you fight all night having these pretty vivid dreams of just death, just all around you, just death, like people dying. And you see like, it's almost like you carrying out these acts, like you're the one doing it. And you see just like all these shadowy, like almost like civilians, and you're just like laying waste and murdering all of these people. And you keep waking up and then falling back asleep to this horrible vision, this dream that you're having, that you're responsible for so many deaths. And you kind of wake up in this freezing cold sweat in the middle of the night. As you know, you've kind of been watching first person as you have just been like laying waste and killing all of these people. And it bothers you. Like you wake up and stir and you start looking around. As soon as you look, you know, both Soot and Solstice, the wormling, kind of look at you. They both kind of tilt their head in unison, looking at you, knowing that something is amiss. What do you do?
I would probably like get up and be as close to the fire as I can, but probably stand up or like do anything that I can to get closer to warmth.
Okay, so you stand up and you're just trying to stay warm. Anything else?
Is anybody else awake?
At this point, it's Thornton, the larger of the Wild Heart. He sees you get up and he kind of walks over close to you and he goes, "Are you all right?"
No, something's wrong. Something doesn't feel right.
Yes.
I'm having really troubling dreams that I don't normally have, and I know that we're stuck here, but like something's wrong.
Why? He kind of sniffs right. I don't smell anything in the air, anything normal. I don't
know if it's here. I don't know. I don't fully understand it. I don't know if maybe Cordan might understand it more or less.
Well, should we wake him?
At this point, yes.
All right. He reaches over and he's kind of gentle compared to Mari, but you see him walk over and just kind of like kick Cordan a little bit harder than you normally would think, because even though he's been kind of milder, you sense he's still pretty pretty wild in his demeanor. So it's just the easiest way to do it. He just reaches over and just like gives him a hard kick. Cordan, you wake up like, oh, like the weight of whatever it is hitting you. It is not a gentle arouse as you kind of like, oh, as you kind of come to and you see Thornton look over and goes, hey, something wrong with Anne.
I say thank you, and I get up and I walk over to Anne and I go, and he's the subtle one.
He is the subtle one. It's a little.
And I ask, what seems to be troubling you?
I'm having dreams that something is very wrong. I'm having dreams of death, and I'm the one to do it, but something doesn't feel right. I can't get out of them. I don't know. Something doesn't feel right.
Is there any distinct imagery, anything that you can definitely know that you saw in the dream?
Can I roll to see if I remember?
No, we don't need a roll. One of the things that you saw was that you were in a city that you don't recognize, and you were killing people that were armed. They did have weapons, so it wasn't like you're killing civilians. But you can't make out the people. You can't even make out what race they were. They're just these like shadowy beings that you were killing. But yeah, you were definitely in a city that you don't recognize.
Okay. And I'd pass all that along.
It's very interesting. I'm wondering if you're tapping into something that you're not familiar with. Maybe this is precognition. It's totally against your nature, but... And, all right, so you're going to see a little beautiful mind thing going around here with Cordan. And I can say, I can think of one situation where what you're talking about would come to pass.
If I'm controlled.
No. What if we go to the town and we have to kill them to keep them from being overtaken?
I don't like that.
I don't either.
How?
But we just saw that whole town could possibly be subjected to the collective now.
So that's not a safe place to go, but we have to get out of here.
And I don't want to sound selfish, but our problems are on our plane, not on this one. We're doing good enough to just make things right on ours. One plane at a time.
If there's a way to stop the big thing, then we can stop it for everyone, but I don't know how to get there.
Well, if you've had this vision and we do go to the valley, I would need you to tell me immediately if you recognize anything.
Okay. I will. I'll probably stay up and finish watch here. I don't think I'll be able to fall back asleep.
Okay.
I would like to try to cast something on her to see if I can help her.
Okay.
I'm going to cast, because I'm going to have time to redo this. I've got this spell. I don't want to see if it does anything for her. Protection from energy cold.
Protection from energy cold? Mm-hmm. Protection from energy cold. Okay. All right. I'm curious if that'll keep her warm.
That's what I want to know.
I'm going to say yes. I'll say it will keep her warm. It is an expansion of the ability, I think, what this spell is designed to do, but I like it. So we're going to say yes, you cast that on her, and it does help.
1 hour.
Yeah, for the next hour, it does give her some warmth and protects her from the elements. You've done the best you can to seal, but you're still... Temperatures drop rapidly here at night, and doing the best you can to stay warm. This does help her through those wee hours of the morning. So at this point, it's probably like 2, 3 in the morning. You're going to finish watch. Who is up with you at this point? You want Thornton to stay up with you?
If it was Thornton's turn, you said Thornton and
Mari started. Yeah, Mari started, and now it's Thornton.
So then I'll finish with Thornton.
Okay. So Cordan, do you just head back to sleep?
Unless Anne needs me to stay awake with her,
No.
I would gladly do it.
Back to sleep. Go ahead. Thank you for talking to me. It helped.
Okay. All right. So it's you for the next hour. You also Thornton. He turns into a werebear, and he kind of cuddles up next to you to try to keep you warm. And while you're sitting next to the fire with the aura around you that Cordan put you that kept you warm, and with the giant bear rug sitting next to you, it's the most comfortable you've been in the last week. You can't help but to fall back asleep and get your rest. Next to the giant fur blanket, you quickly awaken. Maybe an hour later, it's like you were barely asleep. It was within moments. You wake up to Thornton growling. Everybody wakes up to Thornton growling. Huh? Barely asleep. You wake up to Thornton growling next to you. You hear the growl. Everyone kind of stirs and looks over as Thornton takes a bite near your neck. And just barely misses the neck and kind of you pull back as he was trying to bite your neck. And he's like looking about. He goes, I saw a hand.
A hand?
Around your neck.
Do we all wake up to this?
Everyone is awake at this point. Like you hear this growl and this crash. Anne screams as she moves back. Just like waking up to the this massive bite hitting right close to your neck. This surge of adrenaline. And Thornton looking back goes, I saw a hand. It's like it came out of the floor.
I would point at Vimak and say,
I'll pull the wand out, but I'm also gonna insight check him just to be sure.
Go ahead and roll insight.
Edge with the rune.
He seems totally legit in his
I'm like,
belief.
yeah, there was a hand. Yeah.
He believes what he is saying is true.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pull out the wand and just kind of look it over.
You gonna use the wand?
Foe wand.
See anything yet?
Which wand are you using? The wand of magic missiles or the?
No, the other one. Detect the evil.
The wand with the spell that does the checks if there's enemies around.
Do I?
You do.
Yeah,
have that.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had that. Okay, yeah, I'll use that.
All right, make an Arcana check.
Oh God, I'm the wrong person to have this. Okay.
Don't you get what rune do you have this? Which rune do you have on? Because depending on the runes, you would get advantage.
Let me look. I don't think I have the one that gives you Arcana checks.
If not, just make the roll.
You can do it.
Yes, you do. You cast it. There is one enemy in the room.
Okay.
It seems
guys,
like
there's definitely something.
It's odd. It's in the room, but it seems below you.
Seems to be something in our general area, but below us.
So, like when we went through the floor in the warehouse.
As soon as you say that, Mari immediately turns into a bear and starts sniffing about the ground.
I'm going to ask Vimak if he's attuned to that crystal yet. Why don't you try talking to it or sending it a message?
Okay. Hello there.
Yes.
You hear this very faint voice say, Ashnoth.
Ashnoth, what your country can do for you? Saying Ashnoth, does that mean anything to anyone?
Does it?
I was like, can I roll?
It's not any. It doesn't seem like anything you know.
I seem to remember something about Ashnoth for what I could do for my country. That's the extent.
No, like we know it's semi-common, kind of like a common type language that they speak here. This could be
Doesn't sound like that.
right. So I'm thinking of speaking a different language.
Whatever it is, I don't think it's friendly.
Tell it to come out.
Show itself.
And speak to us. No need to hide.
And make a charisma saving throw.
Oh Lord.
Okay.
Wait, I need to see if I'm wheel or woe.
And you're standing there as you just kind of like in the moment looking over everything. When you feel something like this electricity hit your feet and it just rolls all the way up your body. And then there's this moment where you feel yourself like pull within yourself. And now you are watching yourself from inside you as something has taken over.
Can I be lucky?
I'll let you be lucky. See if you can resist it.
Luck be a lady tonight.
You are not. You are not.
Oh,
lucky.
that's a 5. That's not. Okay, so this is happening.
This is happening.
No
So
choice.
this thing takes over. And everyone just kind of sees Anne just kind of like move. She reaches inside her cloak, and from her pouch she pulls out Lorex's lantern and says, "Ashnoth Beravan," and she slams it on the ground and breaks it.
As soon as I see this, I would cast Hold Person on her because I had that learned.
Go for it.
You will be woed.
I will be woed.
Wisdom saving throw. Well, I rolled a 4 plus 1, so that's a 5.
But you're lucky. So roll again.
I'm lucky.
You are held. So you break it
it's a
out.
6 plus 1.
You pull this thing out. You do shatter the lantern. And as soon as it's shattered, you're held.
I'm going to say, bind her. She's not in control of herself.
Does anybody have any rope?
And does.
Get in the bag.
Yeah.
Get in the bag.
All right, Vimak, what are you going to do? Vimak, you're
I'll toss
closest.
the rope out and throw it to him.
All right, so Vimak and Lorex, you go and you go to try to get rope around her. You're tying her now. It for 6 seconds that it takes you to pull this out, run over, and try to get it around Anne. Anne gets to make another save to try to get out of it because we're kind of in quasi combat here. 11's not good enough, but you are lucky.
How many
This
times
is
does
the
that
last
happen?
luck.
She gets 3.
3.
You break out of it. They go to get the rope around you. You immediately push them back and cast Mirror Image.
I cast Hold Person.
Okay.
All right. So you cast. So at this point, there are 4 Anns. You're going to cast Hold Person, but we have to decide if you target the right person. Am I correct?
Yeah, I have to roll a 20.
To do with the spells too.
And it has to get below a 6. You do not hit the right Anne.
You cast Hold Person, and one of, I will say it shatters one of the images. So now there are 3 Anns.
Do I have a chance?
Yes, we're at this point. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go. So that was Laz. Now we're going to go Vimak, and then we're going to go Cordan. So now it's Vimak.
All right.
I'm gonna
Well, you
cast
know what? I
Dispel Magic.
don't have anything like that, but I do have own rune, which I will invoke on her.
And what does that do?
Some saving throw or be charmed for 1 minute.
Perfect. Roll to see if he gets the right one.
Okay. First the 20. That is a 2, so he would.
He would. All right. So you are going to target the correct Anne. You with your keen eyesight and intuition have picked out the correct Anne, but she does get to save against it. So
Wisdom
Anne,
saving throw.
and make a
DC 14.
make a wisdom saving throw.
DC 14.
She makes it.
I roll a 19.
She makes it. She's out. Cordan, it is now your turn.
I'm going to cast Dispel Magic on her.
Okay, that will bust her. Her mirror images vanish. So we're back down to 1 Anne, and now it's Anne's turn. Give me 1 second.
EVP.
Do you want to know my spells? Is that what you're looking at?
No, I'm looking at something else.
He wants to know your worst spell. Your best spell.
Okay. With that, what I would like to do is, and you're gonna run 5, 10,
Okay.
15, 20, 25, 30. Now that's your first movement. So Cordan and Lorex have attacks of opportunity if they wish to take them.
I do.
I will use mine to grapple.
Okay. Go for it.
As soon as I figure out what to roll.
I'm rolling a,
It should be +5. There we go.
and then I'm rolling a strength throw, right?
Yeah. Which is super good for you. Oh.
It's the best.
Got her.
You got her. All right. So you go, she runs by, you grab her by the arm, and she stops. She reaches back, wields the sunblade and lights it, and goes to attack you. Because that's her move action. You grabbed her. So her action will then be to pull that out. So she is now going to attack you. So Anne, make an attack against Lorex.
She is woed.
She is woed.
-3.
All right, so make your attack roll.
I did press the button. So it was a
Holy
7
smokes, it's a lot of dice.
-3.
It is a lot of dice. You pull out the sunblade. You ignite this light that comes out of the blade. You go to swing at Lorex. Lorex, you're holding her. You're easily able to go whoa and back out of the way as the blade swings over your head. That will end her turn, and it is now Lorex's turn.
I will attempt to disarm her.
With what? You just gonna try to grab the weapon
My
out of her?
hand.
Are you just gonna try to grab the weapon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got her grappled. Let me,
Okay.
Wrench the weapon out of her hand.
And make a opposing strength check. And you are woed.
It's the 15.
15.
Or 14.
Does the woe count on every roll?
No, it's just a 1.
So
Okay.
I succeed. That's a 14.
So we both got 14.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say she keeps her weapon.
All right.
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna say she drops it. You don't take it from her. You knock it out of her hand. She's got a -1 to her strength, so I'm gonna say she can't hold on to it. Vimak, what do you want to do?
She doesn't have the weapon.
No, she doesn't. And she's being manhandled by the dwarf at this point. Just kind of wrestling back and forth.
Around her thighs, because that's as high as it comes.
I don't know, man.
She's not a tall lady.
All right, I guess I'll get the rope again and just try to, do her some more.
Hang on a second.
At least I want to hit her.
Okay.
I would,
You go up, Vimak, you're able to start putting ropes around Anne because she's restrained. You start tying her. Make a charisma saving throw.
can I also say that I know Soot would not be sitting back and letting this happen?
Would
Sure.
Soot be confused at this point?
No, Soot would probably just see them attacking me.
Right.
All right, let me roll here. Oh my god.
There's this moment. Everyone sees whatever countenance is in her shifts over and takes over Vimak. So Vimak, you're tying it, and this thing kind of gets in you, and you look over, and then you say, Ashnoth Beravan, and you pull out your maul to attack Anne. And with that, it is Cordan's turn. You see this happening. Cordan, you are aware that something is happening here.
All right, my last. Let me make sure I have another one of these for the day. But I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to polymorph Danny into a squirrel.
Amy.
Yes, you are. Does he gets a save?
Yeah, he gets to say, but first I want to make sure, see if I can woe it before he does.
Whoa.
Cosmic Omen. Yep, I get 3 of them.
Okay. All right. Vimak, it's a wisdom saving throw.
Actually, not a squirrel, because squirrels are fast. We're going to turn him into a tortoise.
A tortoise. A turtle. A tortoise. All right. Go for it.
All right. This is going to be the role I do really well on. You know that, right? Because I haven't got one yet.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. you go to pull out your maul, and everything inside you shrinks down into a tortoise, and you drop it to the ground as this little turtle. And with that, Solstice is going to run over and start growling and act like he's about to attack Cordan.
I'm going to say I'm trying to save his life.
Okay. Persuasion check, which is really good for you. You've had a very high charisma. But that's a nat 1.
Nope.
Nat 1. Just in case, let me just roll mine. Yeah. He's not buying it. He's gonna let loose his breath weapon.
Okay.
And that was the biggest eye roll we have seen in stream, was Wes's eye roll of getting hit by the breath weapon.
Another breath weapon. I'm about to punt this little you-know-what.
You're awfully hostile to my wormling.
Oh god, this is great. Alright, so let me go pull up.
This is great. It's going to break the concentration check.
Oh, that's even better. Alright, so it's a Constitution saving throw. Alright. Take 4d6 damage. Take 18!
Oh no!
You also lose 2 points of strength as you feel all of the juices of your body being evaporated out from the wormling.
Gross.
Okay. And until you finish a long rest, your strength is reduced by 2.
What's the concentration I need to do?
You've got to beat it's the damage, so 18.
I think it's a D20.
Yeah, it's just a Constitution saving throw. So that ends the polymorph, correct?
Yep.
Yay! You're back up. All right, now we're back to Anne. So Anne, it is now your turn. You are free. You look over. You see Vimak turn in.
Up?
You can you are, but you can easily shimmy out of them. So you're still being held by Lorex. I'm assuming this
I
Lorex.
let go.
Right, so Lorex lets go, and you're free. You look over. You see Vimak quickly turn into a turtle, and then go, oh my! And he turns back into Vimak. What do you want?
I was going to use if I got.
Can I cast Tasha's Hideous Laughter?
Yes, you may.
On Vimak?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So it'll be a Wisdom 13
All right.
saving throw. What kind of jokes do sea turtles tell? Hilarious ones.
Vimak, you die laughing. As you
I
fall.
imagine he sounds like Billy from The Predator. Yeah, like oh.
All right, so you die laughing as you you sit over at this joke, and now it is Lorex's turn.
Is it Baravon? Is it a friend of the Baravons, or is it trying to kill them? And I'll draw my I'll I guess summon my sword.
All right, you summon your giant greatsword.
Yeah. And I pointed at the wormling and I said, "You've got one chance. You act like that one more time, and I'll kill you."
Intimidation check.
Bam.
It looks at you, kind of scampers down, realizing the gravity of the situation. But yeah, it believes you. It definitely believes you. Solstice is sold on your intimidating ploy.
I'm glad because I wasn't bluffing.
All right, so before we get to Vimak's turn, give me 1 second. This thing is whatever this is that's inside of Vimak has decided now to leave. It pulls itself out, and you all see this incorporeal spirit pull out of Vimak's body. And everyone needs to make a wisdom saving throw as you see the horrifying visage of whatever this is.
I guess I need to as well, right?
Yes.
Does a 25 get it?
25 beats it. 25 hard beats it. Okay.
8.
Ooh.
Because I think I want to try something.
Okay, hold up. So everyone has rolled? 13. Okay, so Vimak and Cordan, you both pass it. Lorex and Anne are both absolutely horrified of the vision of this thing. Oh my god. And each of you age 40 years looking at this thing.
Oh, snap.
And there's nothing you can do to, like, I can't evade this or anything.
No. You are so terrified, your hair immediately grows gray as you age 40 years looking at this thing. Now, for Lorex, you just gain a little bit of gray line. You're a dwarf.
All right, I'm a dwarf.
Right.
Oh,
You
he is
live.
now, like, 65.
Right. So you have aged 40 years from this.
Oh, no.
And now it is Vimak's turn, who is not afraid of this thing.
All right. First, I'm gonna bonus action Giant's Might. Then I'm gonna try to take a couple swings at it.
Okay.
See if I can hit it. Yeah.
Is
Okay.
Danny still
Alright.
laughing, though?
Oh, wait, you are
Vimak-
still laughing.
Is
You
Vimak
are.
still laughing?
Yeah, you had to spend your whole turn.
You gotta make another saving throw,
Okay.
right?
Because that joke was
Sorry.
hilarious. There he is.
Hilarious.
So
What's
you-
the saving throw?
Wisdom.
Wisdom 13.
No, you will not giant strength. You will not do anything. You will continue to laugh. Because
Vimak, I'm sorry.
that joke was a showstopper. Cordan, your turn. Oh, hang on a second. Mari also aged 40 years.
She's a little silver bear now.
Oh.
And Thornton did not. Not knowing what to do, they're going to go after Cordan's turn. They've just been kind of like, what is happening? Now it's Cordan's turn.
Well,
But does
you
the
know,
wormling age 40 years? This could be good.
No.
Oh, I tried.
There was no.
Actually, yeah, before we get to Cordan's turn, it is the Dragonling's turn. It is not afraid. That goes on Danny's turn. It does recharge its breath weapon.
Get him. Sick him.
Get him.
Get him.
I'm going to cast something on my turn.
You want to roll?
Yeah, what do you want the dragon to do?
Oh yeah, he's gonna try to breath weapon it.
Okay, he can get here and try to angle it to not hit Anne.
I
Yeah.
can dodge out of the way.
Actually, it will passes, so it does not take any damage. Okay, that's its turn. Now it's Cordan's turn.
Third level guiding bolt.
Third level guiding bolt. You're being blocked by Vimak from here, so you'll need to move.
Okay, there it is. I guess I'll step over to this side behind the little.
Yeah, you can shoot over the dragon without a problem.
Because if I miss and hit it,
There's a lot of hate in this group for Solstice. I don't know why. I don't know what he ever did.
really? It tried to make Cordan jerky out of me after I was trying to help the situation.
Oh, he was giving
I've
you a
always
time.
been a jerk.
Only after I have been feeding the thing for as long as it's been alive. All right, guiding bolt.
All right, guiding bolt, roll. Oh!
I don't know why I did it twice.
All right, so the first one's the one we take. It is a 24-point guiding bolt. So you roll a 17 to hit. It does hit the incorporeal form. As it hits, it actually takes form. And in that moment, you see what this is, this spectral ghost. and you see that it has this very light green skin and the long ears, and it looks like whatever is in that pod as you hit it, for 24 points of radiant damage. All right, yeah, it just like you hear this unworldly scream as it gets hit by this thing. And with that, anything for bonus action for you?
So I recognize this now.
Yes.
Bonus action. I'm going to move over here. Well, I've already moved. So
Okay.
That's a movement left, though, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, you're fine. We're kind of going loosey-goosey here. All right, so you run over, you use your guiding bolt, you blast this ghost, whatever this is. You realize that it's the ghost of whatever it is in that thing. You move over to the pod. With that, it is now Anne's turn.
Do we attack the body or the ghost?
I'm just going by everything I learned from Supernatural.
Okay, I would pick up my sunblade
All right, so you reach down, you pick up the sunblade, you light it.
and attack
Okay.
with advantage.
Disadvantage because you're frightened of it. So it's a push. So you are flanking it, but you're also terrified of it.
Would that
It'll be
just
just straight up.
straight up, right?
It's a straight roll, yeah. And you roll a 13, which is enough to hit. You do 8 points of damage with the blade. It is not a sneak attack.
Is it undead?
It is.
I get an extra D8 in there.
I see it. It's in there. So you do 8 points for the blade, 5 points for the radiant damage, and another 2 points. So that is going to be 15 points of damage, plus the 24, which is now putting us at 39 points of damage that we have dealt to this thing. Do you want to do anything with your bonus action?
No.
Okay, with that, we go to Lorex, who is still terrified of this thing.
I am quite terrified, but I'm going to demand to know, what do you know about the Veravons? See if I can get any recognition out of this thing. Try to speak to it.
I'm gonna give me a persuasion check.
Persuade!
You hear this ghostly echo come through, and he slows it down, and he says, Alaric killed us all.
Good. And then I shove my sword into it.
Alright, so stab it.
Yeah. My straight roll. This will be +7.
Whoa, 17's enough to hit.
2d6 plus 4.
Is that a magical
Keep
attack?
picking on the- it is a magical weapon. Or it at least counts as magical because of my
Right, it counts as
packed
magical.
weapon.
That
First
matters.
packed weapon.
Okay.
So 4, 8, and I'll add the extra 3 cold onto it.
Well, it's immune to cold,
damage.
so it's 8
I will
damage.
hit it for 8.
8 damage. Right. All right. So that when you thrust into that, the spirit just dissipates, and there's like this blue goo that's left on the floor as the spirit dissipates. As soon as combat ends and the moment ends, the fear of the situation for both Lorex and Anne dissipates. Lorex, you're looking over in bewilderment, and you reach back as you have just hit it with your blade. And your muscles are sore. You just that youthful spry that you would have had in combat is gone. Is now you almost feel like that this pain shooting into your arm from overextending yourself, because you have aged so much in the last few moments.
She can still look how she wants to, though, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I need to make some saves?
At this point, we're going to get everyone out of their conditions. We'll take a few moments. So, Vimak, you're done laughing at this point. There's no more fear of the situation. But while everyone is kind of recovering, Cordan, what do you want to do? Because this is, while they're recovering, Cordan, you're up.
I'm going to get the thing out of the whatever this thing is in. Is it in any clothes or is it just naked?
You can't tell. It doesn't have a shirt on.
I'm going to drag this thing out of our sleeping area.
So you're going to try to move the whole pod?
Sure.
Okay, it's attached to the wall. Do you want to break it off, try to break it off the wall? Or are you trying to get the body out of the pod?
It's got goo all in it. I don't want to have it in our area that we have our fire and everything.
Okay. So you're trying to basically move this thing, but that's not really you're not that strong. And you're also feeling very weak from Solstice breathing all over you.
That's okay. I'm going to get some water and I'm going to put it on the connections that it has to the wall to snap it loose.
Okay, so you basically use the water trick. So you pour water on it. You're able to shape it, freeze it, break it, so you snap it. So at this point, it's away from the wall. Your strength at this point is like a 6, so it's a little hard for you to move this.
4 brick to move this thing into the other room.
The two werebears see what you're going to be doing, and they run over and they grab your stuff and start pulling. They pull the pod and Thornton goes, where do you want it?
Up here.
I don't know where you're pinging. Okay. All right. So they move it up here next to the body.
The designated corpse room?
Yeah. All right. So they drag it in there. While that is happening, we're going to go to Anne. What are you doing?
Anne probably is still in shock and is not knowing how to really help or anything like that. Just watching whatever Cordan's doing and just the fact that she's 40 years older.
Right.
And can't really move as easily as she could before.
I want to make an Arcana check because I think I know. I know what it is. I want to see if Cordan knows what this is.
Okay.
Arcana?
Yep. Cordan doesn't know.
That is a natty. Nat 1.
That is a nat 1. And if we're the 1, we're going to say no. Vimak, what are you going to do?
I'm going to walk over to the goo. Solstice. Burn this and see what happens with his breath.
He does. He reaches back and he breathes over this goo as it kind of dissipates and turns it into this little mist in the air and evaporates it.
I'll look over at Cordan and Lorex and Anne and say, I can get rid of that goo in that pod if you want, or he can actually.
Yes, I want to investigate this creature because apparently it's a little bit more than we thought.
Yes, I don't like to encourage this thing to be drying things up, but I mean, might as well help out. I don't like the goo either. Hello, Frank.
And then I want to
go up there and I'll. Go ahead.
I want to look at Vimak and I'm going to be like, we need to have a talk about that thing too.
I know he's cute, but he's mine. I know. Good talk. All right.
And now I'm all ashy.
All right. As you're walking over, Solstice actually goes up to you, Cordan, and you hear him go, "Sorry."
And I'm going to go.
Oh, it's Canadian.
Hey, now.
I
Hey, now.
That goes,
Sorry.
that goes a long way. You're forgiven.
It's also mimicking the speech patterns of the people in the group.
Mm.
As everyone slowly looks at Ellie.
All right. Let's pop this thing open.
All right, so we're moving everybody up here at this point. It takes a few seconds for Solstice to kind of recharge, and he looks over and he goes, "Ready." So with that, Mari crawls up on top of it in bear form. You notice that there's like this silver streak going down her back as she reaches up, because she's also 40 years older now. And she just smashes the glass, and all this goo starts rolling out. As soon as that happens, she jumps back. Solstice runs up, breathes over this whole thing, and all of this goo just immediately melts and just turns into this vapor. The body itself shrivels up, and you realize that it's almost been like the body is way older than you thought. And once it hits the air and the dehydration, it's almost like it's mummified as it kind of curls up. And part of it starts like dusting immediately as it hits the air. Not completely, but just showing that body is a lot older than you thought it was.
Okay.
Do we think this thing was Ashtonoth Baravan?
Or was it hunting?
How are you
I
feeling
know
about
it said
your lamp?
Good point. Almost forgot with everyone trying to kill each other.
Alaric killed us all. Alaric is Miles, correct?
Yeah. I think it might have been saying kill the Baravons. I don't know if Ashtok was a name. But Lorex is gonna wander over to where the broken pieces of the lantern are.
I should have taken
You see the broken pieces, and you do remember long ago, you know there's a way for you to get this back by performing a ritual. It can be replaced. But it does dawn on you that this was more than just your vessel.
I probably would have walked over to check it with Lorex.
Okay, so both of you standing there looking at it.
Would love to do an Arcana check to see if what did you call it? I'm thinking of Horcrux, so I'm in Harry Potter land. But
Phylactery. It is.
phylactery.
It no
With
longer is a phylactery.
Oh crap!
It is no longer a phylactery.
They broke Miles' phylactery.
Lots of them, though.
I would say that out loud. He knew
Yeah,
that this would bring Miles back. Or she. They.
Vimak.
Yeah,
Can
they're
we try to
definitely trying to
use-
get rid of him.
Vimak, can we try to use the Sending Stone again?
It is morning, you can.
Yeah. So, you want to send the exact same message?
Yes.
So I guess just don't roll a 1 on a d20.
Oh no, yeah, I got it. Let me make my roll again and see how bad this is. See if you can actually. This time the message gets through, and you wait for a response, but you know that it got through because you hear on the other end, you hear voices, and you hear the voice of Marooned go, "Oh, Vimak, where are you?"
And we'll have to wait till the next day to reply.
Good old Ouroboros wasting his use of his Sending Stone.
Is this thing working? Hello?
This is Ashley from your auto warranty department.
Oh no.
All right. As what is everybody doing at this point? It's early in the morning. Ouroboros does have a few words left.
Okay.
And he does tell you, sit tight. We'll find you.
Can I use hit dice to heal, or is that only a warrior thing?
No, everybody can do that. You can use hit dice to heal. So everyone gets a little bit of rest in the morning as everyone's kind of recovering.
Does Lorex still feel the power in the ring? Could I
No.
still use the ring?
No.
Okay. I'll spend the time to do the ritual to mend the lantern. Then
You do. You mend the lantern. Your vessel, after an hour of concentration, kind of pulls back in forms. It just lacks the little extra that was in it, that was the essence of Miles Hothamore.
And I'll take it. And I just put it. I put it beside wherever Anne is sitting, and then I just walk off.
Okay.
I also want to talk to Anne.
Okay.
And I'm going to sit down with her and I want to say, now that you're older and wiser,
You love this so much.
and I'll say, we can fix this. Don't worry.
Good. Everything hurts.
It's osteoporosis.
Out of character. Yeah, I know. I want to say to Anne, I still feel like we're not getting the whole story, and I don't like feeling like a pawn.
From Miles?
Yes.
Do we think that We've seen this ship. There's no way that Miles is the one who's the head of the collective.
Right, but this guy obviously wasn't. Like, he was captive here. So, there's more to the story.
Yes. But
And we have to be careful.
Was he captive? Was he captive, though, or was he driving the thing?
did he have anything in his head?
You don't think so?
Did he have any belongings on him? Anything?
No.
As naked as the day he was born.
Correct.
Nudie patootie.
Covered in goo.
Ew.
Really was Austin Powers then.
Um,
Warm liquid goo face.
I'm in the tubes back here.
I question.
Is it possible that his race was in our world, and somehow something Miles did cause their extinction?
Miles has been alive for 5.
Trying to interpret killed us all, that comment.
Well, I dreamed of a lot of death, of killing everyone. Was I seeing a dream of the past?
Was he a knight? One of the knights of Baravon?
And when you had
And somehow
you were in a town, correct?
Yes.
Did you have any control in the dream? Were you turning your own head? Were you on autopilot?
I didn't have any control.
I wonder if you were you. Could you be seeing through the eyes of someone else?
I may have. Could I have been seeing through the eyes of Miles?
And here we are, stuck in this frozen hellscape.
I don't like the cold.
It never bothered.
Wasn't so bad before we started killing each other.
And as you're having these conversations, Thornton, he shifts back into his normal form and goes, I couldn't help but hear the conversation, but you don't actually think that Miles did any of those things. I mean, we knew him before.
How long have you known him?
A few years?
He's 5. How old?
5,000 years old.
Yes, but they come from back then as well, right?
And Thornton just looks over and goes, I just have a hard time believing this narrative that Miles had anything to do with that.
But did Miles lose control? Was it the other people that...
I mean, have you seen him fight? He's he's okay. He's not.
We have seen him fight.
He lost, didn't he?
Yes.
Thornton, do you recognize this name, Ashtalk? Ashtalk Baravon?
I thought he said Ashnoth.
Ashnoth?
No, it's language or name I haven't heard.
And it's not anything any of us have Cordan and I heard any of that growing up, like at all, even in the background?
Mm.
So he destroyed the lamp because there was an essence of Miles in it. Correct.
It's what we could use to bring Miles back. So they're probably targeting where Miles is. Potentially going to target where we go next. But how did they know?
Miles.
How did they know that that lantern held Miles or
Good
part of
question.
Miles?
Right.
Well,
Yeah, how did he even know we were affiliated with Miles?
I do know this.
Did take over your body. Perhaps it took over some of your thoughts as well. We could at least look into them.
But I've got
Here-
this. I don't know if this necklace does anything, but I have the protection. I would have thought that would have had some
Against-
help.
Against divination, correct? I don't know about other forms of magic.
We've got a larger problem right now.
As
Survival.
soon as you say we have a larger problem, as soon as you say that,
A larger
There's-
problem, like that.
there's a crack in the air. You hear it. It's very slight, and you hear roaring, like victorious roaring, all around you. And in this strange moment, both Anne and Cordan sense that something magical is happening in your area. When suddenly, as you're all standing there, there's a ripple in the wind itself and in the air, and two large beings just step out of the air, and there's two massive Goliath standing next to Vimak. And Vimak, you look and you notice your chieftain, Ara Barun, standing there, and Galma, who was your who was basically, yeah, I'm looking it up. So Galma was the spirit walker, was the oracle that was in your group. And as they open up, you hear the distant cheers of your people as they come out and they go, Vimak, I don't know how you got here, but it's time for us to go. As they have now plane shifted here.
Wow.
Don't have to tell me twice.
Gather
These
your
abilities, but sure.
and Galma looks over this older Goliath, reaches over with her staff, and she goes, gather everyone around. We can do it quickly while the magic is still here. We can shift back to where we were. And everyone gathers together, and the wormling and Soot and everybody, and they look at someone and goes, it's just enough. And she begins to cast this spell again as everyone's reality shifts, and before you know it, you're back in like rolling fields, and you look over and you see about 40 or 50 Goliath, this war band moving, and in the distance you see Waterdeep just a few miles away.
Nice.
And the Valanavi clan is now arrived at Waterdeep. So now you have moved back. You have plane shifted back from wherever you were in the Barrier Peaks back to Faerun, just a few miles outside of Waterdeep with the remnants of the Volanavi clan. So Vimak, you look about and you hear this cheering as you look about and you see all of your clan have answered the call of the Sovereign as this entire legion of Goliath warriors are now marching on to Waterdeep.
Nice.
And with that,
I'm gonna pull out my maul and give him a victory yell.
And we will end with the
Hurrah!
triumph roar of the Volanavi clan as you are now marching back into Waterdeep. We'll pick up next week for episode 16 as we learned a lot of story tidbits and answered some questions and asked more questions as things are beginning to unravel. So thank you so much for watching and listening and following us. We'll be back next week for episode 16. Until then, keep rolling with advantage. Thanks, everybody.